Hello again, my little conscripts, and welcome to another Mordian Glory video. In today's episode, I will be taking you through, step by step, my beginner tournament Hammer of the Emperor Imperial Guard army. Wait, what? Beginner friendly and tournament competitive? How does that work? Surely if you're going to a tournament, you need a 200 IQ 360 no-scope list with all of the bells and whistles, with 100,000 different combos that can destroy your opponent in a single turn? Well, no. This list is designed from the ground up to be incredibly simple to pilot and very potent on the tabletop. A bold statement? A bold statement indeed. I'm going to need to back this up. So without further ado, let's mount up, roll out, and drive right into this thing. You there, guardsmen! Do you like multi-part plastic sci-fi infantry that doesn't cost a kidney? Well, good news! The Mordian Glory channel is now officially sponsored by Wargames Atlantic. Wargames Atlantic sells fantastic sci-fi models which are perfect as alternative Imperial Guardsmen. This includes the Bulldogs, totally not Praetorians, or the Legrognards, which are totally not Mordians, Destroyers, or Kriegers, all in one box. And the best bit is, Wargames Atlantic offers a bulk buy discount, and the more you buy, the bigger the discount. Perfect for amassing those huge platoons of guardsmen. So what are you waiting for? Click on the affiliate link down below, get yourself some great models and support the channel today. So first things first, I want to assure you guys that this is not just a theorycraft list. Rather, this is a list which has been to a tournament and has proven itself. I try to avoid doing theorycraft lists and videos these days. I have done them in the past, but I try and avoid them now because I always found that even if I was a bit close, I'd be somewhat off the mark and I'd miss some important detail. Now I like to do videos based on what I've actually experienced on the tabletop, so I know firsthand what works and what doesn't work. With that said, what we're going to do today is get into the list itself, look at the individual units, go through the weapons and war gear for them. And whilst we're doing that, I'm going to give you guys a bit of context, a bit of an explanation for why I have included each unit, what its battlefield role is going to be in my game plan. And at the end, I'll go into a bit more detail on why this is a beginner friendly list. So this list is a 2,000 point Imperial Guard army in the Hammer of the Emperor detachment. Hammer of the Emperor means that when I advance, I don't have to roll the dice. Instead, each vehicle automatically advances the full 6 inches. Generally speaking, it makes the list extremely maneuverable because not only do I move 10 inches on average with each one of these vehicles, but I can also then move, and then I can auto advance 6 inches, giving me a 19-inch move. Now, considering there's a stratagem in Hammer of the Emperor that allows you to advance and shoot, that can allow you to get some incredible angles. You can get hellhounds into all sorts of mad positions. You can get your chimeras staged up exactly where you need to. And if a threat starts to emerge, you can use it defensively, either to get a vehicle out of dodge or to get more firepower, maybe from one side of the board to the other, to get the angle, get support, and lock that threat down. At the end of the day, guys, there's an adage in Warhammer 40k, movement wins games. And Hammer of the Emperor is a particularly potent detachment because it is so movement and mobility focused. Of course, it does come with a trade-off. The go-to detachment for many Imperial Guard players is the Combined Arms attachment, which gives you lethal hits pretty much army-wide. Now, we're not here to discuss Combined Arms. I've already done a video on that recently, but what I will say is if you are coming over from Combined Arms and you are considering on getting into Hammer of the Emperor, you will need to be aware that your units are going to be doing less damage. And if you're someone like me who's played a lot of Combined Arms, coming to Hammer of the Emperor can be a bit of a culture shock, and you start to realize how much heavy lifting those lethal hits were doing. So be prepared to have put a bit more firepower than you're used to into an enemy target to make it go down. But let us move on and get into the specific units in this army. And, as per tradition, let us start with the Infantry Corps. Because every day in the Corps is a day on the farm. Every meal a banquet, every paycheck a fortune, every formation a parade. I love the Corps. So with this being a Hammer Detachment army list, I have gone for a mechanised Infantry Corps. We have got 4 Chimeras with a squad of Katachan jungle fighters inside each one. Each Chimera is armed with double heavy flamer, a heavy stubber, a hunter killer missile, and the las gun array and the firing deck. Each Katachan squad is equipped with double flamer and a voxcaster. We've also got a single Taurox with another unit of Katachans inside. Now the idea with this infantry corps is to focus on screening for the big tanks and for it to focus on primary objectives. I have got 20 objective control inside each one of these vehicles. And I can just smash it forward, get it onto an objective and flip it to my control pretty much at demand. And because we've taken 5 transports, that's quite a lot. That's a lot of armor and it's a lot of objective control. I have enough at my fingertips to do this throughout pretty much the entire game. Getting into the loadout of these units for a moment, it's actually pretty straightforward. I don't have lethal hits because I'm not in Combined Arms, I'm in Hammer of the Emperor. So I don't want things like heavy bolters, I want things that automatically hit. Because I've got pretty crappy ballistic skill, because most of my orders like take aim aren't going to be going on my Chimeras. Instead, they're going to be going on the big tanks. So I want to auto hit. And having each Chimera put out 4d6 automatic hitting, ignoring cover shots is actually pretty good. We can really hose them down with the old liquid fire. This is all well and good when we're talking about the Chimeras, but what about that Taurox? Fundamentally, it does the same job as the Chimeras, but it does have an extra trick up its sleeve. It can advance and the troops can still get out. Now, combining the fact that you've got an auto advance, the Taurox has a 12-inch base move, you've got move, and the troops can get out 3 inches when they disembark, that allows you to dump OC onto an objective 24 inches away in a straight line because of the crash through stratagem of Hammer of the Emperor. It just means that if you absolutely positively need to deny your opponent an objective or to take one for your own primary or secondary scoring, you can do. And I would say 4 out of 5 games the Taurox isn't going to do that. It's just going to be a slightly weaker, slightly cheaper Chimera. But in that 5th game, it could very well be a game changer. But that just about covers our mechanized infantry corps. But what about the big cheeses? What about the armored corps? We've got not 1, not 2, but 5 Leman Russes, baby. 3 of them Leman Russ Vanquishers and 2 of them Leman Russ Tank Commanders. The Vanquishers have got Vanquisher Cannons, las cannons and plasma cannon sponsons and heavy stubbers and hunter killer missiles. The tank commanders have got demolisher cannons, heavy stubbers, las cannons, plasma cannons and of course hunter killer missiles. The very snazzy one, the Iron Duke. Big shout out to MG community member Cosmic Drew for sending me this model. Represents the tank commander with the enhancement Calm Under Fire, which allows him to do 3 orders. It's a little more complicated than that, but it is essentially the same as Grand Strategist. He can do 3 orders, and so between his 3 orders and his 2 orders, we have 5 orders. 1 for each of the main tanks. And the go-to order for these vehicles should be Take Aim, because we have one job and one job only for them: to break the fighting spirit of our enemies, to drive them before us, to hear the lamentation of their women. Okay, to be more serious, these are the damage dealers. These are the vehicles that are going to be going out there and taking enemy models off the board. Because we are not in combined arms attachment, you will notice that every single one of these vehicles is packing a big gun. We have got Vanquisher cannons, which are strength 18, AP -4. And we have got Demolisher cannons, because they are strength 14, AP -3. These things are not relying upon lethal hits to work. These things have got enough strength and AP inbuilt to, even without lethal hits, be a very big problem for our opponents to deal with. And there's 5 of them. That's a lot of 2-up saves. That's a lot of toughness 11. Even if you take one of them out, there's still a lot of firepower here. Now, we've gone for the Vanquishers because they're very cheap for what you get for the toughness and the amount of firepower. We've gone for plasma cannons on those Vanquishers because I'm not a fan of multi-melters. I've tried them, and I've tried them again, and I just find that they rarely get to shoot, and when they do shoot, especially in Hammer, when you don't have lethal hits, that strength 9 can be a nightmare. And not for your opponent, for you. Fishing for 5s and 6s and you only get 1 pop with them. If they fail, well, considering how close you have to get, there's a real chance you won't get a second shot. Also, thanks to the low volume of shots from the Vanquisher cannon, the plasma cannons are very important because each plasma cannon gets blast individually. So let's say we are shooting a unit of 10 Space Marines, for example. Because it's not one twin plasma cannon, it's 2 separate plasma cannons. That means we would be getting 2d3 plus 4 shots from the combined firepower of those plasma cannons. And it really starts getting ridiculous when you get into hordes. And like, I've been against an Imperial Guard player with plasma cannons on Leman Russes, and I was getting 2d3 plus 10 shots from the side plasma because he had 25 men in the blob thanks to the command squad. And I was like, oh God, that's a lot of plasma. That was from 1 tank. So now extrapolate that out to 3 Vanquishers, you really feel like, volume ain't a problem for this thing. The Demolishers are a little bit more controversial, I will admit. Imperial Guard Demolishers only get d6 plus 1 shots, and they do d6 damage on the other end of the stat line, making them very, very swingy. I have considered using other weapons, and when I am in combined arms, I go for plasma cannons because they're d6 plus 3, and even though the strength is only 8, you've got lethals which can make up for it. But in my experience with Hammer, you just need to have the big guns. And so it's not my first choice. I do feel like I'm getting my arm twisted a little bit, but I have gone for Demolisher cannons. I will, in the interest of full transparency, say there have been times when these Demolishers have just smashed everything. And there have been times when I fired an entire Demolisher tank and failed to do any damage. So they are swingy, but that's why we've got the plasma cannons again, because they give us that reliability. And that's why we've got 5 Leman Russes. Because if 1 or 2 of them have a bad turn, whether it's the Vanks or it's the Demos, if 1 or 2 of them have a bad turn, the other 3 to 4 can pick up the slack. And fundamentally, even though Demolisher cannons can be very, very swingy and Vanquishers can be very, very swingy, no one really wants to risk that. Do you know what I'm saying? Your opponent doesn't want to bank on the fact that you might only roll like a 1 on your Demolisher cannon and get 2 shots. Because that might happen, or you could roll 7 shots in total, and then he's in for a whole world of hurt. Speaking of a world of hurt, even though Demolisher cannons are kind of short-ranged, you don't really struggle getting them into range or getting the angles because it's Hammer, so you can advance automatic 6 inches and then still shoot with them with stratagem. And you've also got the fact that you can crash through if you need to get the angle that will be most opportune. However, the tank commanders in this list are a bit more susceptible to dying. So that leads me to another reason to why I've got the Vanquishers. They can stay still, and at least the Vanquisher cannons, not the other guns, but the Vanquisher cannons can hit on 3s because they have heavy. Now that is a bit of an emergency option. I'd much rather be moving in the mobility detachment, but it's a good backup. It's a good redundancy. It's a good insurance policy for if you need to be able to hit on threes with the big shot. But the keen-eyed amongst you will notice it is not just Russes that we have got doing damage today. We've also got a brace of Hellhounds. Hellhounds are one of the unsung heroes in Hammer of the Emperor. Honestly, they are one of the best units you can put in this detachment. A lot of people don't believe me, a lot of people won't agree with me, but it is the fundamental truth. Let me explain. The Hellhound here essentially fulfills the same role as indirect fire, like artillery teams do in my combined arms list. They go forward and they start harassing the enemy. I'm very aggressive with them, I'm very bullish with them. I don't mind if I lose them. I'll often push these forward, flame something, and then charge and tie it up. Because unlike Chimeras, they've got a 2+ save. And that makes them much, much more durable. But the real secret source of the Hellhounds is Overwatch. Because you drive up to the enemy, you burn them, and then they try and move away from you, and you just spend 1 CP on Overwatch, and you burn them again. It's actually kind of evil, but at a tournament, only victory matters. And last but not least, we've got some secondary game here. Cheeky Scout Sentinel for going forward and getting things like area denial and extend battle lines without having to expose a valuable, expensive unit. Very much disposable. If this guy ever manages to kill anything, it is a Brucey bonus. And then we have got a Priest who goes in reserve. Now, normally I put a Commissar in reserve, but I had 5 points left over with this list, so I thought I'd splurge out for the Priest. He has a 4+ invulnerable save. Sometimes that can help, but he has a 4+ invulnerable save and he has the Flamer. So he can be kind of annoying as well with that Flamer. But his main job is to go in reserve and pick up some of those more tricksy secondaries. And that just about covers everything. We have got 13 vehicles in this list and 51 infantry. We have got many flamer weapons, and we have got many big boom booms as well. We have got tanks, we have got transports, we have got firepower, we have got objective control. But we've covered what's in the list itself. But why do I believe this is a good beginner list? Reason number one is it is a natural extension of another beginner list that I talked about last week. And if you've not seen that video, I'll make sure there's a link to it down in the description below. In that last list, we had the same amount of Leman Russes, and we had the same Vanquishers, and we had tank commanders. The only difference is we had plasma cannons. Well, that's an easy swap to do. You can literally swap the Demolisher cannon out for the Executioner plasma cannon in the current Russ kit. We had 5 Chimeras in the last list. The only new unit in the infantry corps is that single Taurox. And the Sentinel is the same. You could use the Commissar if you had a Commissar there. The only other thing you'd need to add would be the Hellhounds. In fact, the only units you'd have to add to that list we looked at last time to get this list would literally be 1 Taurox and 2 Hellhounds. And this is probably one of the biggest considerations that a beginner player needs to take into account. Because sure, if you're a veteran and you've got oodles of Warhammer to draw upon, you've got dozens of tanks, hundreds of infantry, you can swing wildly from one list to another and include entirely different models in that army list. But if you're a beginner and you've only just got your first 2,000 points together, you don't want to use that list and then go, oh, well, now if I want to run Hammer of the Emperor over combined arms, I've got to go out there and buy another full 2,000 point army. That's a nightmare. It's a huge barrier to entry. It's going to be very, very off-putting. Instead, what you want to be able to do is take your existing list, something you've been working towards, tweak it a little bit so that it then works in the new detachment without needing to be completely rewritten from the ground up. And with this list, you've got a few weapon swaps, 3 extra units, and then you're good to go. But what about the tabletop reasons? What makes it a good beginner list from a gameplay point of view? Firstly, we have standardization. All the Chimeras are equipped the same. All the infantry squads are equipped the same. We've only got one slight variation in dedicated transport with that single Taurox. With the battle tanks, we've only got one stat line we need to remember, that of the Leman Russ. The only variation we have is between the main gun, of which we've got to remember 2, and the datasheet ability. That's it. The Hellhounds are equipped the same, and the Sentinel and the Priest, well, their weapons almost don't really matter because they're quite sacrificial and sneaky support units. Speaking of battlefield role, every unit has a clearly defined role that it is performing in the list. We have got infantry doing objectives, we have got tanks doing damage, we've got Hellhounds being harassing bully units, and we've got, like I said, the Sentinel and the Priest doing secondary stuff. There's also redundancy built into the list because as a newer player we're going to make mistakes and we need a list that is going to be forgiving of that. If we lose a couple of squads of infantry, that's alright, we've got 3 more. If we lose a Leman Russ or 2 to bad positioning, or maybe we underestimated the opponent's clapback, that's okay, we've got 3 more. If the Hellhounds go down, that's not the end of the world, they're more of a harassing unit. If the Sentinel dies and the Priest dies, it's alright, we have got other small units like squads of infantry that can happily do objectives and stuff. If one of the tank commanders goes down, that's alright, we've got another one. If both go down, that's fine, our Vanquishers have got heavy inbuilt and every other vehicle pretty much automatically hits. And most importantly, there are almost no crazy 5D chest combinations that we need to take into account when using this army. Every unit can operate independently and has a fundamental role that it is performing that it doesn't rely upon another unit to do. We haven't got to combine one stratagem with another stratagem with 3 different data sheets. We've just got the Chimeras doing their thing, the Russes doing their thing, the Hellhounds doing their thing, and the support units doing their thing. And if you're a beginner going to your first tournament, you're going to be worried about the experience. You're going to be excited about what you might encounter. You're going to be thinking about your matchups, the terrain, the missions. But hopefully what this list can do is give you one less thing to worry about. Because it's a list that, as long as you've got some practice games in with it, will be relatively easy to pilot and relatively straightforward to get your head round. At least that's what I think. But of course, all of this is just like my opinion, man. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. What do you think of this army list? What would you change about it to make it even better? And if you're a beginner, is this the kind of list that you would be interested in? If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to go ahead and smash that like button. And if you found this video useful, then subscribe to never miss an episode. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing, truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full time without the incredible and generous support of my members, so thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Alex Dengal, Bonbon Vert, Lord Pryor, Mark Panconi, RJ Scorpion, Swordfish Trombone, Try Again Bragg, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, and August Barney. Seriously guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video, and of course, as always, see you guys next time.